I never thought my revenge would be so sweet, and that it would involve 3 women at once. This story began when I was 9 months pregnant, and my husband sent me alone to the store to buy beer. In the soft light of the desk lamp, I pressed my hands to my belly, feeling a new life stir inside. My name is Monica, and I'm in my 9th month of pregnancy. This is my first child, and although I'm filled with anxiety about the upcoming birth, my heart anticipates meeting my baby. I'll become a mother for the first time. This should have been the happiest time in my life. Should have been. A cool breeze came through the partially open window, stirring the curtains. You can handle going to the hospital alone, right? My husband's words echoed in my memory. Ryan, my husband, an office worker with an outwardly impeccable reputation, spent almost every weekend at his parents' house, leaving me alone. My day starts early. I get up at 6:30 a.m. to prepare breakfast for Ryan. Usually, it's an omelet with toast and freshly squeezed orange juice. He loves this combination. After he leaves for work, I clean, do laundry, and then go shopping. Since I went on maternity leave, my days have become more measured, but no less tiring. My heavy belly makes movement difficult, but Ryan seems not to notice. When I need to buy something heavy, like a bag of rice, friends often help me. Ryan never offers his assistance. You complain too much, Monica. My mother worked until the last day of her pregnancy and never whined. He likes to repeat when I ask for help. After returning from the store, I prepare dinner. It usually takes at least an hour, sometimes 2 if I want to make something special. Only after completing all the chores can I finally rest a little. During my pregnancy leave, I found a new hobby, blogging. Every day I write short entries about my life, accompanied by photos. Today's lunch, the blue sky outside the window, flowers blooming in the garden. Many friends and acquaintances leave comments, and these moments have become small joys in my everyday life. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, Ryan returned home. As usual, he carelessly threw his bag and jacket on the couch. I picked them up and hung them on the rack. "Welcome back! I made hamburgers for dinner," I said with a smile. "I'm going to take a shower," he replied briefly and went straight to the bathroom. In 3 years of marriage, I never received even a drop of tenderness or attention from him. Sometimes I wonder if marital relationships should be like this, but I've long accepted it. When Ryan returned in his pajamas, I handed him a glass of juice. "Where's the beer?" he asked, looking at the bar. "Sorry, I forgot to buy it today. I'll buy it tomorrow," I said apologetically. "Seriously? Go to the convenience store right now." His face instantly changed, and he spoke with obvious irritation. This upset me. "If you want beer so badly, why don't you go get it yourself? It's hard for me to move around with such a big belly." At this moment, he became even angrier and started shouting, "You forgot to buy it! It's your job to fix your mistakes. Being pregnant doesn't give you special privileges." "My mother always said that moving around more is important for health," he added sarcastically. Knowing he wouldn't calm down when angry, I reluctantly decided to go to the convenience store. At the store, I ran into Emily, a neighbor. "Oh, Emily, good evening," I greeted her, trying to hide my irritation. "Good evening, Monica. Did you forget something too?" she asked cheerfully. "I forgot sauce. Had to run here," Emily replied, and her cheerful voice lifted my mood a little. "My husband really wanted beer, and he made me go get it." I couldn't hold back. "Why didn't he go himself?" Emily was surprised. "That's what I said, but he doesn't listen." I sighed. Sounds like you're having a tough time, Monica, Emily said sympathetically. After walking some distance together, Emily and I parted at the intersection. When I returned home, Ryan was sprawled on the couch watching TV, not having cleaned up after dinner. "Why so long? What were you doing there? Give me the beer," he grumbled unhappily. His insensitive remarks hurt me, but I silently handed him the beer and began clearing the table. How can he say such things, especially when I'm pregnant? I thought, but didn't want another argument, so I kept quiet. Afterward, I ate dinner alone, took a relaxing bath, and went to the bedroom. The next morning, Ryan acted as if nothing had happened. He seems to be the type who forgets everything after a good night's sleep. However, I couldn't forget his words from the previous evening and deliberately ignored him. "Why do you have that face since morning? Don't take your bad mood out on me. I'm going to work, so be a little more attentive. You know how important it is to be grateful, right?" he said reproachfully. His words made me want to retort, "That applies to you too, doesn't it?" But from shock and disbelief, I could only take a deep breath and see him off. "I'll be late today, going to a party," he said. "Okay, see you later," I replied. Without any explanation, Ryan hurriedly left. After his departure, I took care of household chores and, as usual, went shopping. However, since Ryan said he would come home late, I decided to prepare something simple just for myself. But when I was about to start my solitary meal in the evening, I heard Ryan's unexpected return and hurried to the front door. "I'm back," he announced. "You said you'd be at a party, so no dinner needed today, right?" I carefully reminded him. "Yes, but my drinking party was canceled. I'm hungry. You have something to eat, right?" he asked irritably. "Well, I prepared food just for myself today," I began to explain. Hearing this, Ryan's face contorted with anger. "You didn't even consider that I might return? That's incredible!" Saying this, he headed to the dining table, and seeing the dinner I had prepared, his mood worsened. "What kind of food is this? I seriously doubt you're properly fulfilling your duties as a housewife. Don't waste the money I earn," he blurted out. "I'll quickly make something. Please don't be angry," I replied, trying to calm the situation. "Maybe you should learn to cook from my mother. Honestly, I've always found your cooking unsatisfactory," he continued criticizing. He's comparing me to his mother again. Doesn't he understand how hurtful these comparisons are? "I can't eat this. Go buy something," he ordered. His words sounded so unshakably confident, as if he truly had the right to control my life. I looked at him, trying to find even a drop of compassion in his eyes, but saw only cold indifference. "You want me to go to the store again? It's late now, and I'm very tired." My voice trembled with suppressed emotions. "I didn't ask if you were tired or not. I'm hungry and want proper food." He crossed his arms, looking at me with such contempt as if I were not his wife but an annoying servant. I felt the baby inside me restlessly stir, responding to my tension. Placing a hand on my belly, I took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "Ryan, I'm 9 months pregnant. The doctor told me to rest more. I can't go to the store again." I tried to appeal to his reason. "You always hide behind your pregnancy. My mother worked until the last day before giving birth, and nobody treated her like a crystal vase," he exclaimed. Something in me broke. 3 years of patience, concessions, and silent acceptance of his indifference reached their limit. "I am not your mother, Ryan. I am your wife, and I'm carrying our child." The words burst from me with unexpected force. Ryan froze, clearly not expecting such defiance. Then his face contorted into an angry grimace. "Don't you dare raise your voice at me! Who are you to speak to me in that tone? I work all day to provide for us, and you can't even prepare a decent dinner!" He came closer, and I involuntarily stepped back, bumping into the kitchen table. His eyes, usually indifferent, now burned with uncontrollable anger. "You know what, Monica? If you can't even do this, maybe I should look for someone who can be a real wife," he said through clenched teeth. These words hit me harder than any physical blows. The betrayal hidden in them burned me from within. You're saying you're cheating on me?" My voice was barely audible. Ryan smirked, and there was so much cruelty in that smirk that I felt my heart grow cold. "What if I am? Do you think I'm interested in coming home to your eternal complaints and mediocre cooking? To you, who has turned into a helpless, constantly whining housewife?" I couldn't believe my ears. The man to whom I had given 3 years of my life, who had sworn to love me in sickness and in health, spoke to me as if I were nothing to him. "Ryan, please don't. Let's talk calmly. I promise I'll try harder." I hated myself for these words, for this weakness, but the fear of losing my family right before giving birth was stronger than pride. "Too late, Monica. You've already ruined everything." He turned and headed for the exit. "Where are you going?" I asked in panic. "To Sarah. At least she knows how to take care of a man," he threw over his shoulder. Sarah, my best friend, the one who always listened to my complaints about Ryan, who comforted me and gave advice. The betrayal was double, and it hurt so deeply that I couldn't breathe. I heard the door slam, the engine of his car start, and the sound of the departing vehicle fade away. I was left alone in an empty house, with a child in my heart and a shattered soul. Slowly sinking into a chair, I caressed my belly, as if trying to calm not only the baby, but also myself. "It will be all right, baby. We'll manage," I whispered, but tears were streaming down my cheeks. I opened my phone and logged into my blog. So many times it had been my refuge, my way to express feelings I couldn't voice out loud. Now, I needed it more than ever. My fingers trembled as I typed. Today, I realized that sometimes the hardest decision is the only right one. I don't know what lies ahead for us, but I know I deserve better. And my child deserves to see their mother happy and strong. Pressing publish, I felt a strange relief. As if by voicing these words, I took the first step towards liberation. I called my sister Jane, who had always been there during tough times. "Monica, what happened?" Her voice sounded concerned. "Jane, can I come to stay with you?" I asked, trying to hold back the sobs. "Of course, dear. Are you all right? Is it about the baby?" "No, the baby's fine. It's Ryan. He's gone. To Sarah." I barely managed to utter the last words. "That jerk! I'm coming to get you right now. Pack your things." Jane's voice carried such determination that I felt a surge of strength. While I was gathering the necessary things, my hands moved as if on their own. The photographs from our wedding, once evoking warm memories, now felt like a sham. I walked past them without a second glance. When Jane arrived, she hugged me as tightly as she could, given my belly. "You're strong, Monica, much stronger than you think," she said, helping me with my bags. In the car, I took one last look at the house where I had spent 3 years of my life. Not happy years, as I now realized. 3 years trying to conform to someone else's standards, forgetting my own desires and needs. "You know, Jane," I said, looking at my belly, "I gave this marriage everything I could. I thought if I just tried hard enough to be a good wife, Ryan would love me. But I've realized something." "What?" she asked, glancing briefly at me. "That I deserve to be loved unconditionally, and my child deserves to see an example of real love, not what was between Ryan and me." Jane smiled, and in her eyes, I saw pride. "Finally, you've understood that, sis," she said, squeezing my hand. The journey to Jane's home flew by in a blur. With every mile separating me from my past life, I felt my strength returning. Inside me grew not only a new being, but a new me, a woman who would no longer sacrifice herself for the elusive hope of someone else's love. I knew a difficult path lay ahead: childbirth, divorce, raising a child alone. But for the first time in a long while, I wasn't afraid of the future. I would face it with my head held high. When the baby kicked especially strongly, I smiled and whispered, "Yes, baby, we're starting a new chapter. And I swear I'll send to hell anyone who tries to harm us." 3 months had passed since I moved in with Jane. My son Ethan was born healthy and strong, with a head of dark hair and eyes that, to my relief, resembled mine more than Ryan's. Jane was by my side at every stage, from contractions to sleepless nights with a newborn. Thanks to her, I managed to get back on my feet and even found a remote job as a copywriter, allowing me to save up for my own place. Ryan made his appearance a week after Ethan's birth, sending a cold message demanding a paternity test. I agreed, and when the results confirmed his paternity, he reluctantly started paying child support, showing no interest in meeting his son. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned that he and Sarah were now living together in our former house. The news didn't hurt me anymore. Just a bitter smile at the thought of how soon Sarah would find herself in my place, listening to endless comparisons with his mother. My blog unexpectedly gained popularity. Honest accounts of single motherhood and overcoming the consequences of toxic relationships resonated with many women. Soon I was offered a contract for a series of articles for a women's magazine, and I felt my life finally moving in the right direction. One day, when Ethan turned 6 months old, I accidentally ran into Ryan's mother at the supermarket. Elizabeth had always treated me coldly, and I braced for an unpleasant conversation, but her reaction surprised me. "Monica, how are you?" she asked with genuine interest as she looked at Ethan. "Is that my grandson?" "Yes, this is Ethan," I replied cautiously. "He's beautiful." Her voice wavered. "Listen, Monica. I know I wasn't the best mother-in-law. Ryan he's always been a difficult child, and perhaps we spoiled him too much." I was stunned by this sudden admission. "I read your blog," she continued. "You're a talented writer, and you seem to be much happier without my son." "Elizabeth, No, let me finish. I want to see my grandson, and if you'll allow it, I'd like to help you, financially, if needed, or just be a grandmother to Ethan." Elizabeth's admission opened new opportunities for me. We started meeting once a week, and to my surprise, she turned out to be a completely different person without Ryan. She adored Ethan and became an invaluable helper, allowing me to focus more on work. One evening, while going through divorce papers, I discovered that Ryan had hidden some of his assets. Among the documents Elizabeth had given me, by mistake, I found evidence that he had been evading taxes for the past 5 years and maintaining double books in his company. At first, I wanted to hand these documents directly to my attorney, but then a more intricate plan began to form in my mind. I continued blogging, now deliberately including details that I knew Sarah and Ryan would read. I created the image of a broken yet recovering woman still struggling with financial difficulties. After some time, Sarah reached out to me. As I expected, Ryan had started treating her the same way he once treated me. "I thought we had true love," she sobbed over the phone. "But he's become just as cold and demanding as you described. He constantly compares me to Nee, saying at least you knew how to cook his favorite dishes." "Sarah," I replied calmly, "perhaps we could meet and talk." We met in a cafe. Sarah looked exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes and dull hair. "I'm pregnant," she confessed. 2 months. Ryan says it will ruin his career and finances. He hinted that I should get an abortion." At that moment, I made a decision. Sarah was not an enemy, but another victim of Ryan. "Listen, I have information that could protect both you and your child," I said, and told her about the documents. The plan was simple. Sarah continued living with Ryan, gathering additional evidence of his financial machinations, while I carefully documented every detail with the help of my lawyer and a journalist who took an interest in the story. The day of reckoning arrived at the company party for Ryan. Thanks to my growing influence as an author on articles about toxic relationships, I was invited to give a speech on psychological abuse in families. Ryan was furious seeing me on stage, but couldn't object. Too many colleagues admired my work. My speech was flawless. I spoke about general issues without mentioning names. And then, to everyone's surprise, Sarah stepped onto the stage. "I want to share my story," she began with a trembling voice, but with every word, she became more confident. At that moment, representatives of the tax service and police entered with a warrant for Ryan's arrest. Elizabeth, sitting in the front row with Ethan in her lap, watched the proceedings with a look of sad determination on her face. When Ryan was led out of the hall, he looked at the three of us, me, Sarah, and his mother standing together, and for the first time, I saw in his eyes something I hadn't seen before. Awareness of what he had lost. A year has passed. Ryan was convicted of tax crimes and received a 5-year prison sentence. His company was sold, and a significant portion of the assets went towards paying debts and fines. Thanks to the success of my blog and the book I wrote about this experience, I was able to buy a small house with a garden. Sarah and her daughter Lily live in the guest house on my property. Our children grow up together like siblings, and Sarah and I have become not just friends, but family. Elizabeth regularly visits her grandchildren and helps us in every way. One day she admitted to me, "You know, Monica, I always thought that motherhood was just about fulfilling duties, but watching you and Sarah, I understand that I missed out on the most important thing, unconditional love. The most amazing thing is that I no longer harbor anger towards Ryan. Revenge wasn't in causing him pain, but in creating a new, better life from the shards of the one he destroyed." My story has become a symbol of hope for many women who find themselves in similar situations. I regularly speak at conferences and lead support groups where I say, sometimes the sweetest revenge is not destroying another's life, but building your own, beautiful and free. And when I watch my son playing in the garden, I know I've kept my vow. I truly sent the demons of my past to hell. And I did it not through hate, but through strength, wisdom, and unexpected alliances that no one, including myself, could have foreseen. Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next interesting story. See you tomorrow.